Hello. It's good to see all your faces out there. Thank you so much for coming out to the Monroe County National Organization for Women's Committee Chair presentations. We are so excited. We searched high and low for the best people for our committees, dedicated, hardworking people who are willing to put in the time it takes to make things happen, make positive things happen. And so I just want to take a moment for everybody to please welcome our committee chairs. So there are also, there's a form online, so if anyone watching at home wants to sign up for a committee, it's pinned to the top of our Facebook page, so it's a form that you can fill out. Let us know which committee that you're interested in participating in. And also that form details what kind of member you'd like to be, if you want to be a core member, if you want to be a part-time member, if you want to be a member in spirit. There's lots of choices, lots of tiered participation. So not to scare anyone off who maybe doesn't have that much time, but also we want to welcome people who want to give us all their time. So that today's agenda here is the order of the committee chair presentations. And we're going to start with fundraising with Sharon Galloway, followed immediately by membership outreach committee chair Jennifer Crossley, communication committee chair Jennifer Piurek. Did I say that right? Oh yes, okay. And legislative monitoring committee chairs Andy Moss and Brigitte Spencer, campus action network committee chairs Lily Ross and Hannah Gregory, racial justice chairs Amanda Lamm. Did Mihee come today?
She's here.
Oh, she's here. Yeah, good. Hi. I haven't met you yet. And Reproductive Justice Committee Interim Chair, Cathi Crabtree. And last, LGBT plus Rights Committee Interim Chair, Ashley Pirani. So yeah, each is going to speak for about 5 minutes, and around 3 o'clock we're going to have you all come up here, and they will be sitting at chairs, which you can ask any questions that you might have, sign up for their committee, and get more detailed responses from them. Okay? So, are we all ready to begin? I would like to welcome Sharon Galloway, Fundraising Committee Chair.
Hi, I'm Sharon Galloway. I'm very excited to be here. I wanted to kind of tell a little bit about myself just because I feel like I'm still really new to Indiana. I am a progressive-minded, left-leaning, complete liberal from the capital city of the largest nanny state in the country. And we are tree-hugging dirt worshipers who decided during a life-changing transition to, hey, let's move to Salisbury, Indiana.
Fit right in there.
Yeah, so there's that. And so for those of you who know about that, we ended up in Greene County thinking it was the suburbs to Bloomington. And it's not. But it's pretty extraordinary for me actually to see what it's like to live in the middle and live in rural Indiana and meet extraordinary people. There are like-minded folks in Greene County, and they are there, and they I hope just to kind of put in a little plug that maybe we double down on our efforts to always include those folks in surrounding areas. I think that would be really awesome. So I'm a parenting 2.0 grandma, and I have this precocious teenage grandson who I'm raising, who thinks that I am. He's pretty convinced the stupidest person on the planet, and that's all good. And for the last almost 30 years, I guess, I've worked on behalf of people in the disability community, working to try and find folks opportunities to get out of being marginalized human beings and more inclusive in their own communities and have lives with meaning and purpose. And that has absolutely been a joy of my life. So with that said, you can imagine I've worked a lot in nonprofits. I've learned to do more with less. You have to do that there. And I think one of the greatest things that I've been able to learn about is fundraising and how that works in terms of partnerships and trying to develop opportunities for all of us to get involved in that is really what I'm very excited about for this brand new chapter. So we'll flip here to the slide. I don't know if you can see that, but truly, it's about bringing the fuel, for the fire. In order for us to do all these really great efforts and do all the good work of Monroe County now, we have to be able to have resources and connections and draw people in who are, again, like-minded or invested in some of the issues that we've got. There's the traditional fundraising, I think, that most of us are familiar with. It's that, being more transactional, where we're going to have an event, and please buy 2 tickets, and they're $25 a piece, and you're supporting Monroe County Now. And then there's also the opportunity to build partnerships and to really consider more of the relational kinds of ways to develop. I like writing grants. Not many people say that, but I really do. I think being able to develop seed money and having access to our own resources so that we don't have to fall into some of those traps around pandering is really important. I love the Girl Scouts of America. I really do. But I see them coming this time of year, and I throw them my wallet and run. And it's like, no, don't give me any cookies. You're too cute. It's awesome. But please, just take my money and run. So that part is, I think, really important for us to figure out what other organizations are in town, what other, again, folks that are thinking about the way, oh my goodness, that goes by fast. All right, flip that slide. Go ahead. All right, great, thanks. So what I'm asking for all of you is to consider, being able to join in, think about what resources you have. It's not about draining our bank accounts. That's really important. It's about ways that we can contribute through our time, our energy, our connections. You all have an awful lot of experience and connections that may be unique to you that we don't have, and we would really like to be able to share that with the fundraising committee. So one more, just real quick. Okay, so there's that. And if you come and sign up at the fundraising committee, what will happen is you'll get an email from me. We'll have ideally routine and regular meetings that you can jump in on. And there's also a way to get a nice thank you gift for coming out today. So stop by the fundraising committee. I'll be here if you have any questions. And I'm really grateful to have this opportunity. Thanks.
To lower it for the 5-1 person. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jennifer Crossley. I am your chair for your member outreach committee. Just to briefly tell you a little bit about myself, in case you didn't see the lovely Facebook post of all of us. I am originally from the region. More specifically, I'm from Gary, Indiana, and went to school here, graduated here, met my husband here. Seem to have never left here, and we're raising 3 wonderful little munchkins here in Bloomington. Just to tell you a little bit about why I wanted to be a part of NOW, in particular the member outreach program, is you might have heard after the elections, people were being verbally attacked, and more specifically, that happened in our own community. More specifically, that actually happened to me. I was the girl that if you read a story about somebody being called some obscenities here in Bloomington, that was me. So instead of me being upset and angry, which I was, pissed, all that kind of stuff, I wanted to channel my frustration and my anger into something that would better make me feel better and make something else so much more. So when this opportunity became available, thank you. So when this became available, I jumped on it and was able to be the force and want to be the force. So our goal and our mission for member outreach is basically we're going to be like the Sunshine Committee. We're going to bring everybody in. We're going to get special interest for everybody, and then we're going to push them to other committees. Or if you just want to stick with me, because I really am a pretty awesome person, you can just stick with me. And so we're going to be able to talk to different organizations, different groups who feel like they don't have a voice to be heard in this community, who feel like they don't know how to be heard and just don't know what else to do. We're going to be that committee that will be able to foster and bring those in. We're also going to be working with allies. I see one of my allies in the community, or here in the audience right now, with different groups around Bloomington where we can go to them and we can continue to build and educate people and let them know we're not just a bunch of pissed off women, even though sometimes we might be, but sometimes that brings out the better in people. So if you have the gift of gab, like myself, and you are that person that wants to be energized and bring people in, that's something that we're going to be doing. We're also, some of the ideas that I had of is going out to the community, being a part of, different organizations, also going to the farmers market, setting up a table, talking there. Heck, even in the 4th of July parade, even also having a table set up at the Monroe County Fair. Just bringing awareness as possible, because our committee is going to be the committee that's going to be the revolving door, and we're going to be circling in and we're going to bring in people. So if you hadn't heard about now, no pun intended, now is your time. So just as a, also we're going to be doing a survey, a demographic survey, and we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be doing that for prospects and letting them know that that's something that we'll be doing. Any kind of things that you guys want to have or wish to have, or things that we can do better, that's what we're going to do. So if you're like Angela Davis, which is the mantra that I live by every day, and I can no longer accept the things that I cannot change, and I will be changing those things I cannot accept, please see me.
Hello, I'm Piurek, and I'm the communications chair here. I'll give you a little bit of background. I came to Bloomington in 1998 for graduate school, and I met my husband here too. We have 2 kids and a dog, and we're still here in part because of 9/11, because when that happened, we didn't move back east. We decided to plant our roots here, and I'm really happy that we did. And over the years, I've had a bunch of different communications-related jobs here in Bloomington, and I thought, life is super busy, but it feels so essential to contribute in a really tangible way at this time. It feels like I really wanted to do something, and this really sparked something in me that we get to have our own chapter of now in our own town. So I think the communications committee, we're working on our strategic plan for communications, but we're going to start with a website and with our branding, and then we hope to get that branding on some fun merchandise that we can push out, and we hope to do incentives and contests with photos and kind of connect with other related groups around town. And I have a few notes on my phone about some of the things that we're doing, and I can answer more questions at our table. But among the tasks of this group would be kind of, we would love to have good writers, photographers, people with graphic design skills to help with a newsletter, and to help with things like that will it'll kind of link with other groups. So we'll look at those boxes that they have at Lucky's and Blooming Foods and see if we can get on those donation things. And we'll see if some of the local restaurants and even bars could work with us to, create a signature cocktail. And I think there's a lot that we could do. And I'm very open to ideas. We're talking about having a newsletter and a welcome package. And so if you have any questions, let me know. I'm really excited that this is here and that I get to be a part of it.
A little taller than someone. I'm Brigitte Spencer, and this is Mose, and we are the co-chairs for the Legislative Monitoring Committee. Okay, so our committee sounds boring, but we are not boring. So first, let me start by saying that I think, like many of you, after the election, I really felt the need to be doing something proactive, but I wasn't sure what that proactive thing was. And then right after the election, a lot of people felt the same way. We were getting calls to action about all kinds of things from all kinds of corners, and it was really hard to figure out what was going on and where you should be focusing your energy, and it was just really overwhelming. So the Legislative Monitoring Committee, we're the info people. We're the ones who are going to pinpoint where we should be using our energy and how we should be using our energy to interact with our legislators to make change, which I think is what most people in this room want to do. So in order to know what we need to resist or support, we need to know what's going on. And our committee, we're the people who are going to know what's going on. So what we want to do is we want to pinpoint the bills at the state and the federal level that are going to interact with now 6 core issues. And then what we'd like to do is we'd like to have committee members that are going to liaise with all of those committees that deal with those issues. And so our job would be to pinpoint those bills and to monitor those bills so we know what's going on, so that in cooperation with those committees, we can cause change. We can be proactive. So for those of you who listened to Kate talk earlier about legislative monitoring, she talked a lot about the process. If we know the process, then we can affect the process. So, our first goal as a committee is to educate the entire membership on that process. And once the membership knows, these are, the places where we can act, then that gives us power. So we're going to make sure that people know when and how to contact their legislators. We're going to make sure people know the most effective ways to talk to their legislators. Once we've kind of educated people about ways to do that, we're the first line alert system. So our plan is that on some sort of regular basis, probably once a week, we're going to put out a list of calls to action about what's going on that week. So this week, here are things that we really care about that are happening in the State House. And these are things that we really care about that are happening in Congress. These are the people that you can call or write, and these are the things that we need to be concerned about and bring up. We're going to work to develop a rapid response system too. So let's say something's happening and we need to act on it today. We will have a method to get that info to everybody as soon as possible, so every single member can say, hey, this is something I need to do in the next 2 days. So I don't know if you guys recall from the State House's last legislative session, how they crammed through HB 1337 in 2 days, right? So that was the so-called funeral for fetuses bill, right? They crammed that through in no time. Nobody had any time to do anything about it. We don't want to be caught with the rug out from under our feet, that sort of thing. And then, I forgot what's the last thing. I feel like I forgot something. But at any rate, so if you want to be the information frontline people, come see us. It sounds boring, but it's not, and it's really important. So come talk to us, come sign up. We would love to have you.
The Campus Action Network Committee. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Lily.
So I'm a sophomore at IU from Flint, Michigan. I'm a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science major and also a sustainability minor in SBS. So, yes.
And I'm a senior at IU, and I'm studying political science with a minor in journalism. And the Campus Action Network is really the liaison between IU and the Now County chapter, and also we specifically deal with issues on the IU campus. So what issues do we deal with? As most of you probably know, these are the 6 priority issues for now. And these are also issues that are very prevalent on IU's campus and that need to be addressed. And we came up with a couple examples of the ways that we can translate these issues into the IU community.
Okay, so ending sexual violence. So obviously that's a huge issue on campus. So we hope to kind of expand education and awareness especially on consent and rape culture, because even though IU does try to raise awareness by like putting in flyers in all the men's and women's bathrooms, it's not enough because it's obviously still like an issue at large, and we want to address it. So we want to make it a safe campus for men and women. So, and then also we want to focus on making more resources available for victims and survivors of sexual assault. It's hard because people, like victims, can feel really lonely and uncomfortable in a campus, and you want to feel like at home at IU. So we want to make more resources available to make them as comfortable and help them with their recovery.
And our other example of something that we could address on the IU campus is a sanctuary campus. I don't know if there's IU students in the audience or people that are just familiar with the Sanctuary Campus initiative. Yeah, so there's a big push right now from other student groups and from one of the groups that was running for the IUSA election to make President McRobbie release a statement that IU is a sanctuary campus for all documented and undocumented students. And we want to work with other student organizations to really put pressure, not only on the IU administration, but on whoever is in the IUSA seats to address this issue at large. And these are just examples of things we came up with. Obviously, we want to hear from other people on the committee, we want to hear from the Now Chapter 2, and we want to try to figure out what we can do as co-chairs and as a committee to really address prevalent issues at IU's campus. So what's next?
So we're in the process of getting established as an accredited organization at IU. We just wrote our constitution yesterday, so that was our first big step. And then we have an orientation process that we have to go through, and our orientation is next week. So hopefully we'll be on the road and getting this established really quickly, so we can so that we can hold our first meeting and start to build our community.
We're also going to reach out to other student organizations. We've already done so, sent some emails out, and try to find people who are our allies and who want to work with us in the future, either on events or just raising awareness, or if we can steal some of their members, that's great too. So yeah, these are our email addresses. We're easily available as students check our email a lot. But yeah, join us. We're looking for both student members and non-student members. Everyone's welcome, men and women. And once we get accredited as an organization, we'll have weekly meetings that are open to the public. They'll be on the IU campus.
Hey everybody. So my name is Amanda Lamm. This is Mihee Kim-Kort, and we are the Racial Justice Committee co-chairs. Thanks so much for coming out, because we're really excited to get started. So let me tell you why I'm here. I'm here because I'm a radical Black feminist, and I believe that we need to be fighting white supremacy as part of our feminist agenda. If our feminism is not intersectional, it means nothing. Okay, so we need to think about all the different issues that intersect with not just gendered violence and gender oppression. It's everything. But the reason that this committee exists is because while many people describe Bloomington as a safe and liberal bubble, there are many of us, primarily people of color, who have not felt as safe and have not seen ourselves in the image of Bloomington that so many people describe. In the aftermath of the recent election, white supremacists and their sympathizers have become emboldened. Jennifer, I'm so sorry to hear about your story. I saw it on Facebook, and my heart was broken that this town had betrayed us so badly. And that is just adding to like the insidious racism that people of color have been feeling here since before the election. It's always been here, but people feel much more bold now. So in this moment, it feels so important to educate ourselves about race and racism, white supremacy and privilege, so that we can seek to dismantle those systems of oppression. This committee is going to focus a lot on that education piece, so we can learn how to talk critically about racism. I also want this committee to be a source of community for folks, where they feel safe to learn and grow and support one another. Pardon me. We're all gonna have to be open to folks' experiences that do not mirror our own. the key to growth and empathy and compassion with other people. Knowledge and community, okay, those are two really important pieces to fight white supremacy, okay? We need to protect one another. We need to be each other's community and protect one another. And in order to do that, we need to know what we're fighting. So this committee is dedicated to helping us learn more about how to fight for racial justice in our city and our state and our country. So here are plans. We want to do a big education campaign, and that's going to include, whoops, my computer just went off. So I guess I'm just talking off the cuff. So that education campaign is going to include everything from like book clubs to panel discussions to partnering with the different cultural centers on campus for the events and stuff that they're already doing. We really want to connect with the folks who are already doing this work and support them, as well as do our own thing. So that's what we want to do, and it's, on top of doing all that, we want to start in the first year doing some kind of intensive anti-racism and racial justice trainings on topics from everything about like the history of race and the construct of race, and everything from that to like how to be an ally versus an accomplice, and like what that means and how we shift that conversation. So we really want to be able to talk about some really hard things, but the point of that is to really be able to support one another and to fight white supremacy in our community. So yeah, so sign up for our committee if you want to do that with us. If you have any interest in that, and we would love to hear your ideas for what topics you'd like to talk about, what books you'd like to read, what communities you'd like to see us reach out to. Awesome.
So I'm Cathi Crabtree, and before I get started, I just want to say how inspired I am by every committee chair that has talked this morning. Or this afternoon, I want to sign up for everything. And I also wanted to say how good it feels to be here in a group of women and men, but I have to say primarily women, and that are wanting to work together, and it really makes me feel good, and I need that right now, so thank you for being here. I'm a member of the Monroe County Now Leadership Committee, and I'm serving as interim chair of reproductive justice. We've had a few applicants come in, and I think I figured out why we didn't have any, because the drop down on the application, it wasn't a choice. So we figured that out. But anyway, so now we've got several, and we're going to be doing interviews, and they all sound amazing. So I will stay involved because this is a passion for me, but I'll be more of a liaison to the Leadership Council. So I just wanted to read a little bit about reproductive rights. It is one of NOW's priority issues. And essentially, it now affirms that reproductive rights are issues of life and death for women, not mere matters of choice. Now fully supports access to safe and legal abortion, to effective birth control, and to reproductive health and education for all women. And we oppose attempts to restrict these rights through legislation, regulation, or constitutional amendment. And I think the access piece is really key, because even if we are able to hold back the laws, we have to make it affordable. And the attacks on places like Planned Parenthood and the healthcare, even if we are able to stave off the law changes, we have to make sure that everyone has access to choice. I will tell you, I was tempted to give my entire speech from the rally because it just gets me pumped up, which I'm not going to give all of it, but I couldn't help myself. There's a little bit I have to read. So if you were there, I apologize, but you can't hear this enough. So if you have not done reading on reproductive justice history, you really need to. I was born in '64, so I came of age when it was pretty accessible. Some of you have probably never even questioned that you're going to have access. So one book that I recommend is called The Story of Jane, the legendary underground feminist abortion service by Laura Kaplan. And it talks about the years immediately preceding Roe v. Wade and what it was like for women who were trying to get access to an abortion. And I've got one quote from the book that I want to read, and the book was written in 1995. So Laura says, "For those of us who participated in the struggle for abortion, the growing threats to a woman's right to control her own body are more than a chill wind blowing. In the public discourse, the fetus has been elevated to an equal status with a living, breathing human being. More and more, women are viewed as the enemy of children, requiring the state's intervention to protect their developing children from them. But in reality, women still conceive, nurture, give birth to, and in most cases are the primary caregivers of children. Women are being reduced once again to the incubators of future generations with total responsibility but no power. That is the same oppressive view that the women's movement sought to challenge. It is not just abortion, but women's power to control their own destinies that is at stake. And I think that's really important, and that's why, even though I'm like an advocate for every one of these committees, to me, this is fundamental. Because if a woman can't control her own body and sovereignty over her own body, she's not even going to be able to participate in the rest of the actions that we're trying to do. So I came up with some high-level goals that I'm going to work with the new chairs on to further refine and with the committee. First of all, outreach to IU students. So I'm going to be looking to you all with CAN, outreach to the community, so communications and public outreach. There's a lot of overlap and teaming I think that's going to happen. I want to try to engage our legislators, and I learned a lot from Kate, I think that will help it, but I want to try to get in there proactively and try to maybe establish some relationships and get some of the people that might be our allies to not only ward off the bad legislation, but can we impact and influence good legislation? And then also supporting organizations such as Planned Parenthood and All Options. As I said, access is key, and so we have to support these organizations that are helping all women. So I believe in working hard, but I also believe in having fun, and if you join my committee, I don't think you'll regret it. Thanks.
Hi. You saved the best one for Lamm. My name is actually Pirani, and I am also part of the Leadership Council, and I'm the interim chair for the LGBTQ+ committee. I'm also the liaison for this committee and for the Racial Justice Committee. Some of the things you're going to probably hear me talk about are going to sound very familiar to what the Racial Justice Committee came up with, because I see them very similar in what they need to do to move forward to make sure this group is really intersectional. So how are we going to do this in our first year? Well, the first thing, education. We need to educate our members on our LGBTQ community, Q+ community. We're going to be compiling resources for our allies. We're going to talk with people within our community. Remember, there are small pockets within our community that are communities themselves. And we may not even know these people are here. So we need to know how to reach out to them and talk on their level so they know what we're about. We mean business. We want them with us. The second thing that I see us doing is becoming active and engaged with the LGBTQ community. We need to start showing up to their events, becoming engaged with what they're doing, pairing and partnering with their events, collaborating together, finding out what we need to do to make us intersectional. The third step, trainings. We need to have these. It goes back to education. Excuse me. Some of the topics that I can see envision as the committee, some of the things I can see the committee doing will be trainings on intersectionality, on some terminology. I think sometimes a lot of us are confused about what's the right thing to say, what's the wrong thing to say. Do I use pronouns? Do I not use pronouns? So I think these are things that are really important for us to explore and understand so we can be true allies. You may have heard the Racial Justice Committee also talk about allies versus accomplices. I think that's something else that we need to do to really understand where we fit in the piece. Because, you know, I look at myself, for example, think I've been a really, really, pardon my language, shitty ally. I'm really like, yeah, I want to be that. But what am I doing to help what am I doing to put myself out there to learn? And I haven't been doing a good job of that. And so if you're feeling like that's you too, you're not alone, trust me. Not even far from it. We have a lot of work to do in this area. It's something that I found because of historical reasons for this group. A lot of times the LGBTQ community doesn't find us safe. And that's very evident because here I am standing up here as the interim chair because we couldn't find someone who was passionate about this because, again, I think it goes back to, I don't know what to say, am I going to do something wrong? So, if you know somebody, or you are that somebody, that feels like this is you and you could do a wonderful job with this chair, come let me know. If you're somebody who wants to be on this committee because you really feel like you need to make this change for yourself and for your community and for this group, come sign up. We can learn together, and trust me, we're going to stumble along the way. There's no doubt, but I hope that we can also create a compassionate environment where we stumble together and we help pick each other back up instead of pointing fingers. Thank you.
All right, I want to thank all of our chairs for presenting to us today and getting us stoked to sign up for the committees, right? You're stoked? You're excited? You're ready? You're ready to work? One component as well is, so our Mass Now organizational meetings are going to happen around once a month, and at those meetings, all the committees are invited, the chairs are going to be there, the chairs are going to present. Each chair is going to present what's going on, what they need, what to look forward to, how the Leadership Council can help, how are we together going to build now as a big, Monroe County now as a big organization that affects change. So I am super excited to get to those meetings and start hearing what the committees are working on and their ideas, and to know how much we are affecting the community. And I'm so excited to hear about that. So, without any more waiting, I want to invite our are there any questions? Yes, I didn't even think about questions.
I started back in the 70s working on working toward the equal rights amendment. I just wondered how that fits into anything.
Yeah, great question. So on, I think it was March 17th, the National Organization for Women's National Organization put out their National Action Plan, which is NAP, NAP. And in that National Action Plan, there are 5 components, and one of which is to work towards ratifying the ERA. They're starting with the 3-state plan, and they've already got Nevada on. So now it's a 2-state plan. And Indiana was the last state to ratify in 1979. The 35th state, can you believe that? Yeah. So the component that we're going to be dealing with now is that there was an expiration date set for sometime in 1979, and that expiration date is obviously passed. So now it's going to be working, and what we need to do is also work towards this to just say that that expiration date doesn't count. Because otherwise we got to start all over. And we're ready to start all over. We stand by to start all over, whatever we need to do to get the ERA to pass. Hopefully though, it's just 2 more states. And the other components of that action plan are not in my head right now. Indian violence against women, I'm pretty sure, is one of them. But we link to it on Facebook, and I'll link to it again. And we are going to form, I don't know if we're going to form committees or if our current committees is somehow going to work on each of those elements, but we are going to support our national organization in those important action plans.
So just one thing that has I guess, bothered me is, I am so glad to see all the younger people here, and I wish a little more of the ones my age, but we're getting tired. I think we need to educate, just like on abortion, as the younger women take things for advantage because they've never known anything differently. I think we need to also do an education amongst ourselves for our own members on the equal rights amendment.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we should assume that anyone really knows what it entails.
That's a very good point. So if anyone couldn't hear her, she says that, what's your name? I'm sorry.
My name is Cheryl.
Cheryl? Cheryl, nice to meet you. So Cheryl was saying that she thinks it's important that the women who may have been around when the ERA was, or still around too, but what younger women may not know about the ERA, why it's important to work towards it. So she's suggesting that we need an element of education there, and I would definitely agree, because I'm one of those women who I was like, well, I mean, we're doing pretty good. Well, one of the reasons I started now is because then I was like, bam, we're not doing good at all.
There's also many people I found thought the ERA passed. I was really
Oh,
surprised.
I never, wow.
Yeah, and they're like, what? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of education to be done.
Oh, definitely. And yeah, so thank you for bringing that up, Cheryl. Anyone else have any other questions? Otherwise, we can just ask the chairs the questions as we're signing up for the committees, yeah? Okay, so chairs, I invite you to come take up your table, and everyone else, just give them maybe a couple minutes to get ready, and then please join us up on the stage. The tables are behind the screen. Oh, which is gone now. Thank you.